Hello, this is Mika, and this is Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, witchcraft, esoteric, law of attraction, manifesting, and everything else in between. So today's topic is shadow people. It sounds ominous, it sounds crazy. It's not anymore for me, but it was at one point. So here we go. Here we go into this conversation. So fair warning, I know sometimes we use terms and descriptions for things that maybe somebody else, they use the same thing and it means something totally different. So I'm saying shadow people because that's how I referred to it when I did research. That's what came up and seemed to be what I was referring to. So if shadow people mean something different in your culture, your belief, that's cool, but sometimes words can have more than one meaning depending on who's using them and the culture and all that, right? Fair enough, right? Okay, so it's story time. So I went to a friend's house who I met at a local meetup for pagans at the time. This is years ago. So we were living in Tennessee. I had really wanted kind of communion with people who were like-minded like me, right? Or with like-minded in the things that I believed in, like witchcraft. So we go to this, I go to this meeting, that they have, and I make a couple friends. And eventually I was invited to one of the friends, myself and another person from the meeting, to a friend's home. And she lived far up into the mountains and very woodsy, you felt like you were in the mountains. Very scenic, but we went in the daytime, it had gotten dark. She had a large property. So she said, I wanted to show you something. It's very spiritual when I come out here. And she took us, we drove actually further out past her home, deeper into the woods. Yeah, I must be really trusting, right? I'm going in the woods with somebody I don't know very well, but my spidey senses was up. I knew, she wasn't gonna kill us. Plus my husband was waiting for me. He drove me up there. He said, you're not going to strange people's house. And I don't, we don't know them, but, I'll drive you and I'll just sit. If I got to sit in the car, she left the TV on and said, you can sit in my house. So she was very trusting. Anyway, we drove out and, not too far, a few minutes away, and to this clearing. And she says this was some sort of, Native American, area where they resided, so to speak. I didn't know a lot. I don't recall all the history. I was kind of oohing and ahhing, like, wow, this is cool. So we're there, and she said something to basically introduce us to the spirits there. So it worked all right. So first, there was mist that just built up out of nowhere, like a freaking movie. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not lying. A mist, which was already misty. Remember, it's the mountains, it's Tennessee, and it's almost winter time. It's fall, winter. So that's common. Except there was like a lot of mist building in one concentrated area. And within that, you could say your mind was playing tricks on you, but all three of us saw it. It looked like figures, people within the mist. And I was like, oh shoot, this is really happening. Okay, then I smelled I thought we identified as burning sage. It was like herbs or something burning. It was like permeating the air, what had been crisp night air. Okay, so that was the experience, and I thought it was pleasant. I thought it was a pleasant experience. I didn't feel anything negative. So, okay, we're done. We go back home. We say our goodbyes. My husband and I leave. A couple days later, I feel like I'm having nightmares. But as time would go on, because they were going on and on, I'd say at least sometimes back-to-back nights, every other night, it was becoming a problem because I would wake up full-blown screaming like a night terror. And if you know night terrors are, first of all, you're not sleeping, so you're already, on the verge of losing it. Night terrors will feel like it's taking you over because you have to try to keep remembering what's real and what's not because it seems so real. Well, these dreams I was having, nightmares, let's say, stop saying dreams, they progress and they were getting worse. I did not make the connection right away that this shadow figure in my dream, I never saw, it was only one, that was essentially trying to kill me in my dream. I was either getting choked or chased on a regular basis. This thing had it out for me. It was very angry. There was never I never heard a sound or a voice. It was all, it wasn't like that. Just me, my own voice. I could hear myself. I woke up with marks on me, marks on my neck, red marks. I woke up with, it looks like, prints on my arm from when I was running. It was definitely beyond just, a psychic attack or something like that. The world, the realms were kind of dream realm and my physical realm because I was seeing evidence. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. I reached out to someone. They eventually had asked if I would donate money to them because this is what they do for a living. And it was a friend of mine, and they were right to do so. Me and my ignorance, I didn't even make that connection. I thought it was just going to be a friend that could help me, but she was wanting to be paid. And at that point, I was like, well, I'm practicing. I kind of feel like I would rather use the money or in resources that I have to find out how to resolve this for myself than to pay someone else. So that's what I did. So in short, I brought home a spirit. I brought home something attached itself to me that night, and it was angry, and yeah, that was not cool. So it progressed as time went on to my waking hours, where not only was I seeing something, it would be a situation where I asked my son, "Oh, I thought you were what were you doing in the office?" Because I wasn't in the office, I was downstairs. I said, "I just saw you walk out." I said, "You walked in, you walked out?" He said, "No, I didn't." And I'm like, "Yes, you did. I just saw, I know what I saw a person. We're the only two people in the house at the time. I know it was him." And he's like, "Mommy, I was downstairs the whole time. I was making something to eat. I wasn't upstairs. I just came upstairs now." And I'm like, "I know I saw somebody." And I'm like, "Oh, shoot." And then once that happened, I'd see out the corner of my eye, and I'm not talking about no friggin' eyelash, and you look over and you see just a real quick glimpse of a figure, a shadow figure. Ooh, so at this point I said, okay, all right, well, this is happening. Again, this is happening. This is a situation. We need to resolve this. So I did all the things that people say I saged. That didn't work. I saged repeatedly. I didn't do it once. I saged a lot. That did nothing. Okay, so get the Palo Santo, get that. Okay, I'm not buying a bunch of stuff. I was like, this isn't working. There's something else going on here. So as the dreams progressed, this was going on for a period of, I would say, over a couple months. The night terrors, I was waking my whole household up. They were seriously getting concerned about me. Like, what is wrong? My husband, oh my God. One time I was screaming. This was a particularly bad time. So I'm having, a situation in my dream, this nightmare where I'm in my bed. I know it's me, and it's like I'm dreaming I'm in my bed in exact pajamas, the same situation I'm actually in reality. And the shadow figure comes in between my husband and I in the bed, reaches over and just takes their hand, shadow hand, and begins to try to choke me again. And I'm fighting, and I'm fighting. And I know I'm fighting in real life because my husband, once I woke up, and it took me a moment to come out of that, by the way, because I was screaming. He said, "You were fighting." He said, like, you were like, I'm hitting, banging, kicking. He said, "You were like really fighting." So he's trying to wake me up to get me out of this. So I attack him in my sleep. He the next day, he shows me when he gets to, because he got dressed in the morning. I'm exhausted, so I was like, I know he's getting dressed, but I fell back asleep. But he came home and he had bite marks because he said, "I was trying to move you, like get to you, and then you're screaming. I know you're gonna wake the kids. I tried to put my hand over your mouth. I bit this man and left marks." That's how crazy it got. Anyway, so we got the crazy dreams. I'm beating my husband up, domestic violence, and my husband in his sleep, or in my sleep. I'm accusing my kids of stuff they don't have it, that they're not doing. Like, it's reaching crazy, So, how did I resolve all this? Well, I would realize after the fact that when I was being chased, I was constantly getting saved in the dream. Like, there would be, like, I would get thwarted, the actions would get thwarted somehow, and I would jump in a car with these people. I never saw the people. And then there were the people that I would run to that were like off on the sideline. It was just a group of people, faceless people, but they were people. I knew I could trust them. So what I did was I used a reading, and it helped me to understand, to be in contact with my ancestors, a tarot reading. Because I did consult my cards to understand what was going on. So to get more in tune with my ancestors, so I started doing that. I started paying a lot more attention to my ancestors, making it more of a ritual. And once I invited that connection, then all of that stopped. The dream stopped. The attack stopped. There's one final dream in particular that I remember. And I was being chased by this shadow figure again. And they grabbed me. They being, I'm going to say, at this point, I think the safe people were my ancestors. They grabbed me, and he would not come over. Or it would not come over, would not bother me once I was enveloped with them. That was the last dream I had. And everything just got better. And I just continued to keep my relationship because I wasn't alone anymore. And why I think this all happened is because I was an easy mark. I allowed myself to be an easy mark. I didn't know to shield myself. I didn't know anything. I knew about protection magic. I understood it. I didn't know how to wield it. I didn't know how to use it. And I didn't. I wasn't versed enough to understand that you have got to protect yourself when you're going around spirits and entities in a place that somebody is actually telling you is possibly sacred ground. You don't know what happened. I'm going about what this woman's telling me. I don't know what really went down there. It could have been a bunch of murderers. I don't know. I don't know. Or what else, we're assuming it was Native American. It could have been not Native American. It could have been people trying to get the Native Americans. And that's who also was there. And they're murderous people. You don't know. The point is, I brought one of these evil, for lack of better words, and not that I go into evil, but not very nice entities home into my life. So that was not cool. So once I got in tune with my ancestors, and when I mean ritual, I mean water on my altar for my ancestors, pouring, disposing of the water, pouring it out intentionally, lighting a candle, offerings on a consistent basis. Once I started doing that, and then also I started more with my tarot cards, making a point to have a connection with my ancestors and just talk to them. Not always asking for something, just, is there anything you want me to know? Is there anything you want to tell me? Just checking in, doing that sort of stuff. Being attuned to things, ancestors that I know. I have an aunt that passed. There's a certain song I hear or a fragrance, a smell, immediately associated with her. So when that comes out of nowhere, and where it doesn't make sense that I'm smelling the smell and hearing this song all at the same time, yeah, I know that's her. And now I'm attuned, antennas up, what you got to tell me? She's trying to talk to me. And I also just, of course, at like certain times of the years when the veil is thin, I make a point, let's all talk, let's have a party, let's talk it out. What you want to, do you want me to give a message to anybody? What you want to tell me? I want to thank you, give you gratitude for protecting me. So I keep that party line going. And I think that has helped tremendously. And also I moved. So there is the idea, I kind of played around with the idea that, is it possible that this shadow figure, if it could attach itself to me, and I didn't live in the mountains where this woman, I lived in Tennessee still, but I didn't live in the mountain like where she lived. So if it could move with me from there to my home, technically, I kept thinking, well, could it move to me with me out of state? But by that point, I was all shielded at that point with my ancestors. They provided the shielding, and then they educated me on what else to do. Sometimes I look at books, spell books for inspiration, for ideas. Other times I wait for it to come to me. Like instinctively, I know what to use. Like, okay, grab this, grab that, burn this, do that, write a petition, do all this sort of stuff. So I ended up doing some extra spell work, basically where I released that spirit and they helped me to understand that. And it took some time, but let's be honest, I like to believe I wasn't in any seriously real danger other than going mad from not sleeping, which is dangerous. Yes, I understand. But, any real, physical danger outside of the marks that was left on me, I don't know. Listen, it was a tough time. And I took pictures of those marks. They're somewhere deep, deep, deep in my camera because it's a few years ago in my phone, photos on my phone. But I did do it, and I showed my family, and they were like, all right now, like, you sure you all right? And I'm like, no, I'm not all right. That's the point. I'm showing this as proof. Clearly, I'm not all right. I didn't choke, because I would ask my husband, am I choking myself in my dream? Because at this point, I'm going crazy. And he's like, no, you're fighting. You're not choking yourself. So there you go. But so I moved to a new home. After developing a relationship with the ancestors, I then moved to a new home. There was the concern of residual energy coming with me. It did not. It was more of me concerned about it, maybe being a little too worried about it. That was causing some hiccups as far as with me, dreams and things like that. But it was more an internal, just me being afraid, being fearful. And so I did have nightmares, but it was nightmares about the nightmares, if that makes any sense. It wasn't the same intensity that it had been when I had been living in Tennessee, because we had moved to Florida at that point. I have some notes here because this is a crazy story that I lived through. Okay, so any other thing I just kind of wanted to reiterate is I continue to keep my stronger connection with my ancestors, which I think also if there would have been any residual energy that resolved it, because if anything, I became even stronger connection once I got to Florida. Definitely, definitely stronger. I was much more aligned with understanding, okay, so this means that. Symbolism, sometimes when you're quiet and you're alone, I understand spirits are around me and sometimes they contact me. That's perfectly fine. I don't get freaked out in my waking hours. I don't get freaked out. I don't like being startled either, but I don't get freaked out. We had someone pass in our family very close to us, and they were younger, and her spirit came through. I had been working. It was going on for I would say about a week. Shortly after, I would say a couple weeks after she was gone, before a week it went on, where she was just kind of lingering around, and other people in the household was having dreams. And I didn't say anything right away because I didn't want to disturb the process. I waited until I felt like her spirit had actually moved on, and she did. She moved on. But my daughter had a connection or dream where it was just as real, and she was saying goodbye. And I said, you have the same gift that I have. I was able to do that when I was about my daughter's age. My favorite aunt died. One of my favorite aunts, I shouldn't say it like that, but she died, and I was pregnant with my daughter. And it was so hard for me because, I'm not, in my mind, she can't die because she's too young. Old people die, She didn't get shot or killed or murdered. She can't be dead. That's impossible. I witnessed her spirit. I witnessed her dying. I witnessed her take her last breaths. So I knew that she was gone. So I had a dream about her. She came to me, knocked on my door. I was wearing what I had been wearing. It was, again, just surreal. And she spent the day with me. She did all the things that we used to like to do. And then she said she had to go. And I walked her to the cemetery. And she said, I said, well, can you just, she said, no, come on, I can't stay. I gotta go. And that was my goodbye. That was her goodbye to me. And I accepted that. And I released, her spirit at that point. And I wasn't even practicing then, but I was smart enough to understand she's gone. So this is over, this she's moved on. She, like I said, when the veil is thin around October, she will reach out to me in little ways. Again, a certain song, a certain fragrance, sometimes a dream, and she'll come to me. So I'm waiting to see if this year, so far I haven't heard from her, but I'm gonna do a whole ritual, of course, to talk to my ancestors on Samhain. So maybe then she'll come through. But so I'm okay with talking to spirits. I'm not okay with them haunting me and trying to kill me in my sleep, but I am okay with having connection with spirits. So I'm open for that purpose, but I'm also very well guarded and protected against anything that means me ill will, wrong, hurt, pain, evil, or whatever else they're coming with that I would consider negative, or that I don't even know yet that might be negative. They can keep it over there with that. But for spirits who I would like to who have a message for me, yeah, I allow that connection to come through, and I'm not startled, and I'm comfortable with keeping that connection. But my point of all this, talking about my shadow figure or the shadow people, because it's really just one. My point of all of this is it was a learning experience across the board. The biggest takeaway was for me to understand that I need to be connected at all times with my ancestors. I need to at all times have a ritual, giving reverence, giving an offering of sorts. Whatever that offering is, you make the decision on what the offering is going to be. But the point is to consistently do that. It works because they showed up and they showed out and they protected me. So I'm grateful I was smart enough to understand to use a tarot reading to dig deeper into what's going on here. I'm grateful that I understood the concept of protecting. That's probably why I'm so crazy about doing protective magic now. Fool me once, that's enough. And that was my own foolishness. But then again, I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. I was just wanting to have an experience that I didn't think ahead. That would never happen today. I would still go. I would still go out and understand what they were talking about. But I would have mad protection on me, physical amulets, do a protection spell. There would be, I know my ancestors are standing around me, and it's like, okay, so, show me what you want to show me now. I'm good now. I'm protected. But I would never just walk into a situation just completely open. Hey, I'm here, like bait. But yeah, connection with my ancestors is key. I am so grateful. Not that I'm glad that situation happened, but I'm grateful for taking away how necessary it is to be connected to my ancestors and protection magic. So that was the whole point. I really kind of just wanted to highlight having a connection to your ancestors. If you don't practice witchcraft where ancestor reverence is part of it, maybe you should think about it. And when I say ancestors, it's not, even though I spoke of an aunt that I knew and a close family member that had passed on, ancestors are people beyond that. We're talking your lineage. So that's more than just the people you know. If you're lucky enough to know your entire family line, kudos to you. That should make it even more actually nice, unless they were all horrible people, then I don't know what to tell you. But then again, maybe when they got to the other side, they wanted to atone for all the horrible things they did when they were alive. And maybe they were using you to atone or wanting to help you or protect you and things like that. So don't always look at it as a negative. But there could be people you don't know. Most likely there are going to be people you don't know because you don't know everybody, most likely, right? Most of us don't know all of our ancestors from both our mother and our father's side. So just keep that in mind. Don't get so caught up on I'm adopted or I don't know anybody, you know, me and my mom, just it was just us, or me and my dad, or whatever. Or I don't know my dad's side of the family. Don't worry about that. This is bigger than family ties and connections in the living. You know, this is bigger than that. This is a direct lineage of spirit, and you're made up of all these people. They live in you. It's bigger than just you didn't know this part of your family. So, you know, you kind of got to expand bigger than that, because this is energy. This is residual energy that never died, and you're a part of it. So you want to tap into that energy. So don't get caught up on just one person. Think bigger. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like the video. And if you enjoy this content, thank you. And please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Mika, this is Leap Taken, and thanks for watching.